Good evening, it's meteorologist Michael Fecka. Welcome back to the 9 p.m. all-weather, all-streaming show that we do here every night during the workdays and on weekends. We stream it out to all of our streaming platforms as well as to Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So if you are joining us from either of those platforms, please feel free to leave a question or a comment down below. Hopefully I'll be able to answer anything that you guys may have as I go through the forecast, but if not, I'll go through at the very end and see if I can answer anything individually for you. So let's get started here with a look at our headlines, and it's going to be pretty quiet here for the rest of the night. We've got clear skies right now, and I think that'll continue through much of the overnight hours. However, we will start to notice that increase in cloud cover through early tomorrow morning, and then that eventually will give way to some scattered showers throughout the day on Monday, which will eventually increase in coverage and intensity as we get into Monday night and into early on Tuesday, and then continue through the day on Tuesday. So we've got that soaking rain set up here through the start of the work week, which otherwise we would be very happy about because it's been so dry, but it is kind of poorly timed with the start of Fall Festival. But it does look like once that rain clears out of here by Tuesday night, the rest of the week should be fairly dry and comfortable to enjoy those outdoor activities. And it'll be cooler as well. Temps back down to around average for this time of year. So looking at our temps that we got to today, still well above average. We're running around 10 degrees above average for the last several days, and we topped out at around 83 here in Evansville. Typically our highs should be in the mid to upper 70s, so well above that for our Sunday. We've cooled down a good bit since then. We're now sitting at around 72 in Evansville and in Owensboro. A bit cooler, especially off to our north and east, 63 up towards Washington, and then off to our south, 70 still there in Greenville. So mild at this moment, but we will continue to cool down at least into the low to maybe mid 60s for some folks overnight tonight. And I mentioned before, we've been dry as well. That high pressure system that's been locked up to our north and east, that has kept us dry, but it is going to eventually slide off to our east, and it's already been doing that throughout the day today, but it's still kept us quiet. And if we zoom out here, we can kind of get a better idea of our setup. So that high pressure system continuing to get pushed out over the Atlantic, and that is making room for this front to begin to move in. And it's that front that's going to kind of draw up some of this Gulf moisture that is going to at least start those shower chances through the day tomorrow, and then eventually that front crosses through on the day Tuesday, and that's where I think we'll see the better chance for more of that widespread rain. Before tonight, mostly clear skies. Temperatures drop down into the lower 60s, and looking ahead to tomorrow, increasing cloud cover through early tomorrow morning, and then we could start to see at least some patchy drizzle or light showers as early as mid to late morning, and then they'll just kind of continue throughout the day. So there is still some decent dry time throughout Monday. I think Tuesday, that's definitely going to be more of your classic rainier day that you'd kind of just want to chill out indoors. But looking at our temperatures, we'll still top out in the upper 70s to right around 80 degrees. So still kind of warm for this time of year. But looking at our future radar, starting it out early Monday morning, we see those clouds increase out of the south. And within the clouds, that's where we could get, again, some of those lighter showers. It's not until we get into the afternoon, maybe we start to see a few thunderstorms develop. But overall, a lot of the shower activity is going to be pretty widely scattered through Monday. It's not until we get into Monday night, especially the overnight hours into early Tuesday morning, that we start to see some of those heavier rain bands begin to lift up and through the tri-state there. And it looks like it'll kind of continue throughout the day on Tuesday as well. So more of your classic rainier day, but it does look like the precip wants to come to an end relatively early on in the evening, with maybe a few lingering showers headed into Tuesday night. But by the time we wake up Wednesday morning, we'll all be dried out here. So looking at our rainfall totals, they have actually continued to increase each and every day here. We've been talking about this potential for rain at least since Thursday or Friday. We started out looking at maybe less than a half an inch. Now we're looking at maybe a widespread inch to an inch and a half across the tri-state, with some pockets maybe even closer to 2 inches, especially off to our southwest and even through portions of western Kentucky. Can't be completely ruled out. Now, we do have that isolated flooding risk. It does look like maybe some of those heavier pockets could produce maybe an isolated or localized area of flooding. I think that would be mostly for those low-lying, flood-prone areas, areas that typically flood anytime there's a little bit of heavy rain. That's what I'm expecting there. And then that continues again into Tuesday, maybe a little bit less so, especially with those showers exiting through the evening hours. But Not expecting widespread flooding, however, I can't completely rule out, especially in those flood-prone areas. But beyond the rain, we get through Tuesday, we will start to dry back out again. So we enter another dry stretch through the middle and end of next week, and it looks like the Climate Prediction Center also picking up on that trend for October 11th through the 15th. So looking at our rain storm chances here, they do kind of go right back down to closer to zero as we head towards the end of next week. But here's a look at the longer range European model. So that front clears out of here overnight Tuesday, and then will be dry with high pressure building in through the day on Wednesday, and even keeping us dry there through Thursday. This model wants to bring in a very, very weak frontal boundary that looks like it'll mostly just pass to our north. It could bring us a sprinkle for Friday evening, but that's a little bit far out in the future. I don't want to put too much faith in the already weak front, but it does look like in general we should be on the drier and cooler side for the end of next week. Now, looking at our outlook for temperatures, it doesn't really align with that thinking, but while we are cooling down, temperatures still mostly remain above average. It's just we've been so well above average that even this cool down that doesn't even take us below average is going to feel a lot better. So while it still shows up as above average temperatures for the next 6 to 10 days, it is going to be feeling a lot better than where we have been. You know, we were topping out in the upper 80s through much of last week. We've cooled down a good bit through the low to mid 80s this weekend. Looks like we'll only top out in the upper 70s to around 80 for Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll be down into the lower 70s through the middle and end of next week before climbing back up into the mid to upper 70s by next weekend. So feeling a lot better. I know a lot of folks in the comments always talk about when we're going to see the cooler temperatures, when is summer finally going to come to an end, and I think this is a more gradual end here. Not to say that we won't ever see another warm up in the future, but I don't really think we'll see temperatures as high as we have been, at least in terms of last week going forward. So I think this is kind of our mark on the start of fall here. I think we're just going to generally be cooling things down here until we get into winter. So hopefully that brings you guys some joy. I know a lot of you really don't enjoy this summer-like heat into the fall months, especially because it can have an impact on the leaves as well. We actually had a viewer call in earlier today, and she was asking about why it's taking so long for the leaves to start to change color. And well, one of the big factors for leaves to start changing is those temperatures. So specifically those overnight lows. You really want cool overnight lows and warmer highs during the day with plenty of sunshine to kind of trigger that color change. And we really just haven't gotten that cold at night. We've had a few chilly nights, but not enough to really cause those leaves to start changing. So until we get these cooler temperatures in here, don't expect that fall foliage to really start popping. But even regardless, through the first week of October, we don't really notice much change anyway. It's not until we get into the middle and end of October that we kind of near our peak for fall foliage. But outside of the tri-state, we are still looking at the tropics, still very active for this time of year, and we're looking at this area. We've been tracking it the last couple of days. If you remember, I think back on Thursday or Friday, it was only given about a 40 or 50% chance of development. Now it's gone all the way up to around 70% chance of developing within the next 7 days. And in general, this area will be heading up to the north and west. Now, it doesn't show us, you know, it's not a developed storm yet, so we don't have a forecast cone, but it does look like it is generally heading in this direction. Now, it could continue to go northward. It could continue to swing out towards the islands. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll be keeping an eye on this tropical system to see if it does have any impact on us for the next several days. And it looks like, looking at our hazard types, we don't have any hazards here in the tri-state, but if you do look along the East Coast, it does look like some portions of the Carolinas and even up towards the Delmarva are being highlighted for some heavy rainfall, and that may be from that potential tropical system. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. If anything develops, of course, we'll let you know. And here's a look at your 7-day forecast, just to kind of wrap everything up in a little bow. Looking at Monday and Tuesday, that's where we're going to see better chances for rain, especially Monday night, overnight into Tuesday morning. That's where it looks like maybe the heaviest rains will be moving through, and then we'll continue to see that rain push through Tuesday afternoon, coming to an end overnight Tuesday, and then we'll be dry there through the middle and end of next week, with temperatures cooling back down into the 70s, more fall-like, hopefully more refreshing for all of us to kind of get out there and enjoy the season. So that is all I've got here for the forecast. I am going to take a quick moment to check out some of the comments. Looks like we've got Dion Hunter. He is from Owensboro, and he's saying hi, hello to you. Cheyenne says good evening. Thank you for joining us. Zach is asking, are tornadoes very unlikely for Evansville tomorrow and Tuesday? Yeah, we're not really set up for that severe weather risk, but we do have that potential for maybe for some heavier pockets of rain that could lead to some localized flash flooding issues, but not expecting that to be a widespread problem. And it looks like Paula Schaefer saying good evening, and same thing with Jeanette. So happy to see you all here. Oh, Darlene is saying hello from Madisonville. Well, hello from to you as well. But that is all I've got here for the forecast. And I'm not seeing any other questions, so I am going to hop off of the live stream, and I'll send you guys over to 14 News at 10 for all the latest news and weather headlines. Of course, we will go on after Sunday Night Football, so hopefully that ends sooner rather than later, and you can get your fill of news and weather before you go to bed tonight. But until then, everybody, stay safe and have a great rest of your night.